Hello. Hi, everyone. Thank you. I thought it was worth... Sorry, hello, my name's James, so I'm creative director at Jamie Oliver. I just thought it was worth playing that video just to try and surmise and sum up kind of what we do at Jamie Oliver Group, to kind of give you an idea of what the sort of creative output that we do generally, and obviously the reasons why we do it. So, yeah, I'm going to talk today a little bit about a few things, but firstly, a little bit about me, I suppose, just because I'd like to talk about myself. I am creative director. I've worked with Jamie in-house for the past 5 years, but I've worked with Jamie agency side for about 14 years. So I loved the brand so much. I loved what Jamie and the brand stood for, which is why I went in-house. So I think it's a really incredible, passionate place to be. And it's got a reason to believe and a reason why, which I think is why I think being creative in this space is really important and actually makes me feel good about what I do. I think the incredible thing about Jamie himself is that I think he's an amazing brand. He has an amazing vision. He's like the biggest influencer I've ever met. And in terms of creativity, he's actually my executive creative director, it feels like, if I'm honest, because I feel like what he believes and his instinct is incredible, and I think I'm just there to facilitate and bring that idea to life. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk about my amazing team. I've got an incredible team down here, so I just think they're fabulous. And our business is super complex. So, I've never met a company like this that on one arm is doing a TV production. We're doing content on social media. We're creating a cookbook. We're creating restaurant brands. We are campaigning to make food change. We're talking to governments. We're talking to world leaders. It is an incredible creativity, which for me, having a purpose really helps creativity. I think that's to create impact. Once you've got a really good story or you've got a really good narrative and a good reason, it sort of makes creativity a little bit easier. We definitely go more on kind of, we go on more kind of instinct as opposed to kind of brand strategy. It's very hard when you've got a brand like ours where the founder is a face, and to separate the face from a brand and to try and give it that kind of that focus is tricky. So that's why I think we definitely go more on instinct. Jamie definitely leads on what he feels is right for the brand, and I think that's really important. I've spoken about this before. I find strategy really sometimes hard to understand, and I think sometimes we force strategy on brands a little bit. It's my personal feeling. I think instinct should be allowed to shine, especially in certain areas. I love strategy and I love data and I love the kind of analytics of things, but I like that to kind of inform as opposed to kind of, drive it or give it a purpose. So I think instinct's really important, and I think we do it every day and we think about it every day. But we'll be working on a project, and Jamie will literally walk through the door and change his mind. Not because of any kind of arrogance or approach, but just because he just had that feeling that what we were doing wasn't right. And we all kind of go, oh, God. But then when we all sit down, it's kind of like, yeah, why not? I spent 6 months doing a cookbook on Italy, and he walked through my door in my agency and said, I've got a good idea. I want to do 5 ingredients. I went, what about the book we've just spent 6 months making? He says, we'll shelve it, we'll come back to it when it's right, but I want to do 5 ingredients. And that's the kind of brand and the kind of visionary that I have to support, which is what makes it so great. And I think, instinct is really exciting. I think it's quite go with your gut, which I really love. And I think in terms of things like our social media, there are so many trends in the food space at the moment, and people are jumping on different types of trends. I saw one the other day where somebody used an empty Biscoff jar to make their coffee in, to make a Biscoff latte. You know, these things are fabulous. They're entertaining and they're fun. But I think for our brand, it's a little bit more than that. There's always an educational piece. There's always something that Jamie wants to a message that we want to try and get across. And why I showed that video is because there is a purpose to this brand. There is a kind of reason. So we make sure that we are always, whatever we do, it has to ladder up to that kind of reason and that reason why. You know, there's certain things that we get approached from many brands to partner with or endorse with or, I don't know, do all kinds of exciting and wonderful things. But sometimes you've got to have a reason why. And I think that's really, really super important, and make sure that as a brand you can stand up. And this is why it's tricky when you've got a celebrity-faced brand that we do. You know, it's not a brand. He's the one that's going to get the Daily Mail at him on a Monday morning if we've pitched something slightly wrong or something's quite not right. So it's really important that we protect that. So, you know, making sure that we're, you know, doing the right thing in our social media. We're making sure we've got the right tone of voice. We're not upsetting anybody because, you know, that's really hard. And I know disruption's a really big buzzword around this place. You know, everyone loves disruption. I find disruption tricky in our space, but then I do think we are disruptive. I sort of think Jamie has been disrupted for 25 years. I think the first Naked Chef book 25 years ago disrupted that entire industry, disrupted cooking. And we've kind of been on that same disruptive wave ever since. And I like disruption, but it doesn't have to be aggressive. It doesn't have to be shouty. It doesn't have to be in your face. I think disruption can be really simple and really clever. You know, 5 ingredients was kind of zeitgeist moment that when we designed that and we spent ages on the layout and we wanted all the ingredients to be on the page and we wanted to simplify absolutely everything that you can do. Originally it was called 4 ingredients, but it never worked. So 5 ingredients. So yeah, and everything was on the page. Everything was there and we spent so long on this design. But that was disruptive again, and I think it doesn't have to be complicated. It doesn't have to be kind of, like I said, aggressive or shouty or in your face. So I think what we try and do is we try and disrupt, but in a way that's more maybe behavioral change. So I think it's quite nice when we're always trying to make people eat healthy, eat less meat, do this, do that, but maybe not in a disruptive way that's too kind of in your face, but about simplifying those kind of little behavioral changes that we all do. And they're the small things that ladder up. Oh, I hate that word, ladder up. Sorry, I shouldn't have said it. That go all the way up to the top to the reasons why Jamie does what he does. And as a brand, that's what we do. And we do that through all of our parts of the business, from our media, our production team that do the TV shows, our social team that create content. We have design teams, we have food teams, we have stylists. We do absolutely everything in-house. And it's really important that all those people feel the same about the brand, which I know I've talked before at other events about in-house creative, and I'm a big believer in it now. God, when I was agency side, I thought it was like the Antichrist. But now that I'm in-house, I absolutely get it. I love why we all do what we do. Because the people live and breathe that brand. They live and breathe what we do. And yes, we do partner with agencies. We partner with media buyers. We partner with all the people that are in this building. And it's fabulous to gain insight and gain information. But the team internally are so passionate about that brand that, it's really easy for us to know what we're doing and where we want to go. And like I said, Jamie is so hands-on. It's kind of sometimes a bit too hands-on. Sometimes he'll come and tell me my font's a bit too big, or he wants to make the line spacing on the next book a bit bigger, or he's completely anal and beautifully creative with design and loves every bit of it, which can be annoying, but it's good at the same time. but that detail, that level of detail, that level of insight, that level of instinct is I think you can't bottle that up. You can't create that. I can't give you a talk about how to be, instinctive, but I think living and breathing brands is how we, as living our brand, I think gives us the best amount to be creative in this world, and how we can be powerful with that. I think I've talked about disruption. Yeah. So and when we're disruptive, sometimes we can be a bit of a PR nightmare as well, and sometimes our social teams will come back with these amazing ideas, and they'll get really kind of excited about what they want to, what's the next thing they want to do. And we've tried things, and we do a thing. We all probably call it test and learn. Jamie, we're going to test and learn this format. We're going to throw this out there, and he will he'll hate it, absolutely hate it. And it's not because it's not cool, and it's not exciting, but it's just for him, it doesn't feel right for the brand. And he is literally like our lens. He's like the lens that we all, he knows when something's great and something's not great. We might think it's wicked, and all the kids and everybody go, yeah, this is great. It's so creative and cool. But no, if it doesn't land with him or land with the brand, then it tanks. We move on. So we're constantly, every day, trying new things, creating new video formats, testing all kinds of new recipe ideas. Even just the development of a recipe, it takes a team to sort of go through this process with Jamie of how he builds a recipe from the ground up, and then how we then take that recipe and how we get that recipe into a book, or how we get that recipe out to the world on social media, or through CRM, or through the website, or to partners. And this lifespan of a recipe is huge. It goes on and on and on and lives forever. And you've probably all cooked something from a Jamie Oliver book, I hope. I hope. But I think that's really key as well, that the food is go back to creativity. And I love the fact that we have an amazing creative in-house team. I think it's brilliant. But I do think food and what Jamie stands for makes our brand, amazing. Even now, right now, as we stand here, we're currently attempting to do a world record attempt for the largest cookery class, which I think we've got to 18,000 kids up and down the country simultaneously cooking food. So every day is a creative world that we do. Keeping up with it is quite mad, but we love it. So yes, 5 minutes. Okay, is there any questions at this stage? I'm
just checking the app.
Oh, thank you.
I don't think there are any questions. Oh, no, there is one question. Here we go.
Oh.
I apologise. I've got a notification that is obscuring the question. Maybe I should have gone for the mic that was plugged into me rather than in my hand. Anyway, what campaign or idea that seemed brilliant at its initial birth, because I can't read it because it's then blocked by the notification. Can you see these questions, incidentally? Or can you help undo the notification? Or who asked that question?
Oh.
Yes.
Why don't I do the old school way?
Yeah, I just wondered what idea or campaign that seemed brilliant, when somebody came up with it initially, just never kind of quite got there, and why that was, whether it was in a brainstorm.
Oh, that's a good question. Let me think. I don't know if I can think of any one, but every year when we create a new, so basically as a brand, what we've done in the past is Jamie will start with an idea for a cookbook, right? And it'll be we basically go into a room, and we, like a band goes in and creates an album, we would go in and create a cookbook in 10 days. And it's the mentalist place to work. But so each year, the book kind of defines what we're going to do for the year, right? So 5 ingredients. That entire year campaign was around 5 ingredients. So we would weave that kind of 5 ingredients through our messaging. This year, we're just about to launch a new healthy eating. So we've gone all healthy this year. So we're really at the moment working on a campaign to kind of launch that. This isn't really answering your question, but I think each year sometimes we really struggle to market books as well as the TV show and all the different elements that go alongside it. What fails sometimes for us, if I'm really honest, is our publisher or our Channel 4 are also marketing that content at the same time on their channels. And sometimes what we don't do is align with the messaging. So, I mean, for a prime example, we just launched a dyslexia documentary a few weeks ago, and Channel 4 got the hashtag wrong. I know hashtags aren't very cool or used anymore, but their hashtag on their campaign didn't align with our hashtag. Simple things like that where you go, no, that didn't quite join up properly. So, not quite answering your question, but there's definitely challenges in that space of like what does and doesn't work. And I think when you get it right and you get your messaging right, and sometimes we have a book. So a few years ago, we had a book called Save with Jamie. Channel 4 hated the name, but the book had gone to print. So the TV show ended up called Money Saving Meals. So everyone who watched the TV show went out to buy a book called Money Saving Meals, couldn't find it. Book sales were like this. So again, that alignment in a brand or trying to do multiple things, I think is really important. Yes, any more questions? Yes.
Hi, it's Alex Tate I'm from a marketing consultancy called Entropy. I'm just really, one of the things that really strikes me about Jamie Oliver is just how findable you are in SEO. I don't know if this is slightly outside of your remit, but I'm just really curious. You seem to be like really high at the rankings for a lot of really popular sort of meals and meal types. But what sort of, how seriously are you taking trying to sort of reorientate that for sort of the world of AI and LLMs and being findable on things like ChatGPT? Even if that's from a creative point of view as opposed to,
Yeah,
I appreciate you're not like a tech.
That's probably a little techie for me, if I'm honest. But yeah, I mean, SEO, I mean, we've just always ranked really high on SEO. I mean, I think for years we've always been like second for every recipe search in the world. I think we get the most ridiculous amounts of Yorkshire pudding and roast potato recipe searches on a Sunday in the world, which is huge. And I think in terms of like technology, we are nowhere near that yet. And we're trying to work all that out internally at the moment.
Well, that's part of the question, actually. It's like how, in the big scheme of things, I guess you'd have sight of it. Like, how much of it is something to sort out versus something you're actively trying to get ahead of? Oh,
it's definitely something we need to sort out or trying to sort out. I suppose the big thing for me, and I've talked about this before, but is Jamie's IP, right? Again, one of the biggest, I would say, one of the biggest IPs globally, and we're constantly battling that IP. We're shutting down more fake Facebook groups than you can possibly imagine on a week-by-week basis globally, which is crazy. And yes, we do need to kind of protect that. So I think IP is a really scary place. I'm not quite got my head around it. Certainly from a celebrity-led brand that's got a personality face attached to it, and how his profile is used. And same with recipe content. You know, the written text. Yes, of course, ChatGPT can give you a recipe tomorrow, but we try and make sure that the recipes we put out there are trusted and it's a trusted brand. So yes, I think it's a hard one at the moment to understand.
As an organisation, yeah, you haven't gone hell for leather into trying to solve for it yet. You're still watching and waiting, trying to work it out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you, James.
Am I done?
You are done.
Thank you so much.
Very much,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone. Thank you.